Hello, everybody. How's it going? Back with another watch list. Tomorrow, Canada Day. All my fellow Canadians. Um, got a decent amount on watch. A bunch of trades on my end today. Um, if you could tell from my watch list yesterday, last evening, I was not super amped going into today. A bunch of stuff was fairly far away from the levels I was looking to break and trend join. And we got a lot of gaps in favor of a bunch of those moves. So bunch of trades. I will start off here. VOR. Best trade of the day for me here, right through this breakout level. We'll close down here at like a buck, so I didn't think a buck 20s would come into play right away, but it did. Almost right off the open. We got a straight up spike, consolidation, and then a break of high. So I bought the high a day break, risk versus lows a day, and let it do its thing. Started locking in terms of R, taking off like a quarter into a 2-to-1, taking off a quarter into a 3-to-1, and then I took off the rest on this little hard crack, little failed follow through. Contemplated the swing overnight. This is getting a bit overdone, so like I'm not crazy bullish, but I do think it favors a gap up like it did over here. Strong green day gaps up. Now we've got strong green day should gap up. It hasn't gone red in 4 days, even though the daily kind of looks a bit wonky. The gap up closed below its open, and then gapped up above its prior day's close, and then same thing today. So it hasn't gone red in 4 days, so if it goes red tomorrow, I think that is a decent enough trend change for a short-term pullback. Now that being said, it did consolidate fairly well, held its gains into close, so a slight gap up, I'm interested in getting back in there versus a green to red risk. Towards these 150s, I would like to see hold if it's going to go higher. So that would be kind of that trade plan for me going forward. So for now, I've sold the whole position there into close, but open to. They've just got so much dilution back in. When was it? Beginning of this month, I think. I'd have to pull it up. There's like 700 million warrants or something. It's got an anti-dilution clause, so the exercise price is like a penny. It's just the warrants are toxic. They've got the ease of dilution. They've got the ease of offering ability, all in terms of dilution tracker, and then in terms of my own filing research, they seem like they're just waiting for the warrants to dump. Now they don't need cash, but as the saying goes in small cap land, you don't offer when you need to, you offer when you can, because eventually you need money anyways. So anyways, that's the plan on this one. Nice trade there. 120s up to the 170s, and then look to get back in there for a possible 2 blowout. I saw a little pop-up when I review some of the moderators in Investors Underground. They put out Watchlist nightly, and I clicked on it, and it gave the ability for me to add a watch list. So I clicked on it, started typing it out, added my charts, and when I clicked post to IU or whatever the option was, it wouldn't send. It wouldn't post it. So I was like, okay, well, I typed out my plans anyways, so I put a Google Doc down in the description. So basically everything I'm saying now, if you're more of if you like to read or more of a visual person or what have you, you can check out the written version just down below. But that being said, that's my plan there on VOR and the trades there today. NBIS, I traded this one 2 times, I believe. So we have, looking left, we got this big daily. So we've got this little flag here on the daily, runs up, pulls back, consolidates. Excuse me. Moving averages start to catch up. Then we break through this little 55 range. And then, so I bought it today. Straight up spike, not typically how I like to buy them. But I'm trying to be a bit more objective with my breakouts and not miss so many. So I just bought it with proper risk versus low a day, stopped out, it pulled back, consolidated, geared back towards that 55 level, and then broke out right into close. So I rebought it, set a stop, and we will see. So far it's working. Plan is to swing this for a few days and maybe catch a move like this. So we will see. Hinge, this one's kind of funny. So a recent IPO, similar to the Circle and CoreWeave daily charts. We had a nice multi-day move, a couple days of consolidation, and then we were gapping up into this breakout level here. So pre-market, we were gapping over it. And then right by market open, I see it open right near the breakout level. So I see the pullback and then high day break. It was a bit illiquid, so I had to chase a little bit. I wanted the highs a day, but I chased it like 40 cents higher. And then it starts to like push and start to roll over. And I'm like, usually these breakouts are a bit stronger than that. So I look back, I look a bit closer, and I'm like, did this gap over the breakout level? And I start second guessing myself, like, should I be buying this? It gapped right up to the breakout. So I ended up just taking it off for like a break-even stop, small gain, which ended up being the dead bottom and ended up going higher. So it could continue to work, but with the liquidity on this, only trading 2 million shares in the day, I didn't really feel comfortable in it. And then when I started second guessing that gap, I just ended up taking it off. So that was that one, but I don't plan on re-entering or trading that one anymore. I took it off my watch list. GNS, multi-day runner. This one here, when it gapped up over the breakout level, they typically fail. Then we got this big green candle. So now we got this consolidation, gapped up under the breakout level, buying the break. We do have this resistance here overhead, right up here, 150-ish. So I had that one in mind, but 130 to 150, I figure it was close enough that if it wanted to get going, that it could have. So I just bought the breakout, risk on low a day, locked into that 150, assuming it would fail, and then same kind of thing as VOR. Once we get this hard crack little rollover, I just took it off under prior support. Ended up being close to the bottom here as well, but choppy and wasn't really going anywhere, so don't hate to miss that one. CTOR was a short trade. I'm just going through my list. I don't remember what they all were. But multi-day runner, gap down, looking for it to go red. Once it goes red, we get that opening range breakdown. Red confirm, risking versus highs. We got that immediate flush that didn't continue to roll over. Keeps getting bid up on this swipe candle. It was clearly not staying heavy, so I moved on. Saved myself a few cents. Ended up going a bit lower, but plan for me was a retest of that breakout level into the mid threes, and it just wasn't getting there anytime soon. Very illiquid, no real reason to watch it anymore. That was the one trade idea, and it just didn't work. And then CRML, I've got some chase size on this one. Plan here was for 290s to continue to build. It swiped up rather quickly, so I couldn't get in there right away. But we had this front side move, pull back, little cup and handle on a shorter time frame. Typically they happen on a broader time frame. But I think this has a chance of retesting the 200 here up near the force. So I will continue to watch this as long as it doesn't break below 290s. I think it could get moving. So we had this little weak open pullback, still held up, and then today pull back off the open, consolidated, and then this swipe here. I wasn't watching it super closely. I was in and out throughout the day. So I just put some chase size on, risk wide versus those 290s for now. If we start to break through those 380s, I likely look for an intraday risk to move up, maybe tomorrow's low a day. If we gap up, break through 380s, add through 380s, and now can risk next day's low and add to that winner. So that's the plan on that one and the trade and starter from there. So those are all the long ideas, I believe. I can pull up my watch list there now that I wrote it out. So we had caramel, vor, NBIS, oh, and toast. I didn't mention toast. So we've got this big move on the daily, gap up. We got an earnings winner, starts to consolidate and hold its gains. I was looking at this one for that big fail candle, started to break below those 41s. I shorted it, got stopped out, and then continues to grind up. So now it's within this channel again, 45 to 41, and especially with this failure to go lower, looks like it's holding up well enough to possibly flip a bias. So if 45.50s breaks, I join that trend for a similar setup to NBIS and a possible swing trade. But now that the breakdown idea didn't work, I'm not like revenge trading. I'm just waiting for the next setup to come in. It could just as easily top out here and roll over, and that breakout never comes, and then no sweat off my back. But just a trade plan. If it breaks through 45.5, I can look to join that trend. Let's see here. Sam really enjoyed that IU weekly prep with Phil. Hadn't seen him before. Good recommendation. Oh, you haven't seen him before. Interesting. Yeah, Phil, he's a long-term veteran in the space. If you look up Phil Godecker on online on YouTube or anything, he's done I wouldn't say a bunch of speeches. He's stayed not so much under the radar, but he's not flaunting himself. But about 15 years ago or so, he used to post P&L on Twitter with guys like Derek Leon and Eric Wood and all those guys. They used to show P&L on Twitter, and that got him a bit of a following. His name was Ozark Trades back then, and his account got deleted off of Twitter. So now he's Trade STL on Twitter for St. Louis, his home base. But yeah, his original Twitter's no longer there, unfortunately. But yeah, he's been around for multiple decades. He's good friends with a bunch of the big guys, Nate and Elkwood and Eric and a bunch of those guys. So he's a super solid dude. He's always out there at Traders for a Cause if you want to say hi. He's easy to talk to, and he's a nice dude. So I'm glad you enjoyed it. Let's see here. Fat GQ. Hey Dawson in chat. Is this current bull market hotter? Squeezes with more range and much tougher price action than COVID. There's so many reclaims, even when you think the top has been set. BM&R. Yeah, I would say it's a bit tougher than BM&R. Or is it? Yeah, BM&R. This one here today was the recent Treasury PR. It was halted a few times here pending news and pre-market, and then got that Treasury news, and the rest is history. But for this one in particular, with the current theme, these Treasury names and PRs, that theme and sector, so call it, is hot. I don't short these Treasury plays. They squeeze so much further than you expect. You got CEP. You had kids. You had a bunch of them, but there's been a ton. So number one by rule right now is not shorting anything that's Treasury related. And number two to the question, is it tougher than the COVID market? I would say so. With the COVID market, I think it was a bit easier to just buy and hold. Everything will go up. I do think there are a few names that steady fade, like a bunch of the gappers. But there are also a bunch of chop and trap where my typical entry criteria of opening ranges and risking a high or risking a low, I do get wicked out a few more times. If you look at like even NBIS today, I was right, just in a different time frame. Like I stopped out here 53-ish. It pulled back to 52, only a buck lower, but we're all the way back up to 56 again. So I do think it's a bit choppier and rangy right now. Not so much steady trends, just straight up, which is pretty much what COVID was. You'd buy, and 3 days later, it'd be a multi-day runner. So, yeah. Phil is awesome. Great advice, managing risk and everything. He's a great trader. Absolutely. Check out his videos and bin watch. Anyone videos you are studying right now or recommend? Laptop Legend just put another review I'm currently watching. Very nice. Videos that I'm watching right now. Let me think. I do have access to the Clover Trading website with Kyle and Huddy and Dom. And I've kind of been doing my service and giving back. I'm working through their webinars, and I've got a Google Doc that I'm uploading like tickers and setups and concepts and everything that they go through in each webinar and trying to categorize them. So I'm a few hundred deep and a few hundred short still in those webinars, in the webinar list. But I would say that's probably mostly what I'm watching right now in terms of videos. Okay, so that's my long watches, and then as far as short watches go, are all kind of the same setup, just on a few different tickers. NVTS being the first one here. Multi-day runner, had that NVIDIA news. All front side, we get that little breakout and blowout. Lower highs, each time it tries to gap, we get those wicks, top wicks. Now it's starting to roll over, losing its 20-day moving average, and the 640, 650 breakdown could get hit back into the mid to low fives if it rolls over and starts to take out those levels. You can see it here, kind of like a little head and shoulders, front side move, breakout, lower high, and then if it takes out this little neckline here, could start to roll over. SMR, or SRM, not SMR. Did I write that right in the list? SRM, yeah. Same kind of daily chart. This one here is off the 10-day moving average, where you get that front side move, breakout, lower high, couple little top wicks, and if this breaks through 720, this one here could get hit back below 6. And then core weave, similar idea. We've got higher lows, couple little inside days here on the daily. Each time it pops, it gets sold. Today's round trip was definitely not a bullish looking candle, where you get this little chop off the open. Looks like it's going to start to rip and then gives back its entire move by the end of the day. It's definitely not what you'd want to see if you were looking for higher prices on this name. Then you got these higher lows. They continue to test. You probably could draw it like a little bit higher. Like it's trending right along it. And then you've got the daily 20 moving average right here. So if this starts to break this trend line, the 20-day confirms, could get hit for 20 to 30 points or so. So few short watches, few long watches, but just found out BM&R had backing from Tom Lee of Fundstrat on CNBC, frequent guest, Wall Street involved. Could it go to 100? Nate had mentioned that this morning when he was on CNBC in pre-market. I had no idea who Tom Lee was. I've never heard that name, but it seemed like a big deal. I think it was mostly just the Treasury news, and then with the Tom Lee little spark, probably sent it a little bit further than the others. But it's nothing I would trade right now. It's too crazy. It's gapping up a ton already here in after hours, up from 34 to 50. So it's going to be gapping up tomorrow. I have no real interest in it. I would much prefer to see this run higher tomorrow, and either look for a first red day on Wednesday or Thursday, or let it do its thing, couple days of pullback. I'd have much more conviction in a backside bounce, kind of like SBET. When it runs a little bit further than you think. Like this, it could do like a small little day tomorrow and then continue higher. But I'm thinking we're kind of um, in this kind of point in the chart with BMNR, where we got that big day, probably gaps up, spikes, and then pulls back. But then you get those couple days of pullback before you get this bounce. And this little bounce day, I'd be much more inclined to trade on BMNR than I would be to short it. It just seems way too risky to me. As a short bias trader that's just trying to build bankroll, I have very tight risk reward, but as you said, getting wicked out due to so much range and taking multiple cuts on entries. Do you suggest that I widen my range, go smaller size instead versus size up with tight risk reward? Yeah, typically that's kind of how I trade anyways. Like VOR, for example, did it go straight up from my entry? I was never down on the position, so could I technically have bought here and risked like 120? Sure. Tighter risk reward. Your win rate goes down tremendously, but your risk reward is sky high. But statistically, what's worked for me is buy the breakout, let it chop around and do its thing, risk as wide as possible, while still making the risk reward make sense. So a trade from here, risking low a day up to 170 is still a 3-to-1 trade, which is profitable in the long run. Risking 120, I could get way more size. I'd be risking 5 cents and would be making 50 cents. So it'd be a 10-to-1 trade, but my win rate on that is probably 10%, just risking a random prior low. So typically I prefer to risk as wide as possible while still letting the risk reward make sense in that 2-to-1, 3-to-1, maybe 5-to-1 if I'm lucky kind of range. So 2-to-1 to 5-to-1 kind of be in that sweet spot. Seen the dude on CNBC and he has some YouTube videos. Thanks a lot for the info. There's a sympathy play. Thanks for mentioning SRM. You betcha. Makes a lot of sense. Appreciate ya. No worries, no worries. So much appreciation in the chat. I appreciate the appreciation. So yeah, I've got SRM, MVTS, and CoreWeave, some short watches, daily failed follow-throughs. They might not set up tomorrow, but worth a watch throughout the week. VOR, possible continuation. GNS, I don't love. It's a historically dilutive name and not as clean of action, but we'll see how it sets up. If I like how it's looking intraday, maybe I take a stab on it. I think if I do take a stab tomorrow, it probably ends in a loss, but we'll see. And then we had NBIS and TOST. So shorts and longs, a little bit for everybody. When are they going to push VOR over $2? That big private placement warrant deal recently you mentioned, people saying it could go to 2. Yeah, I think that was the magnet. But the warrants were the reason for my early locks. If I'm trading this setup in a vacuum with nothing else mattering other than this breakout chart, I'm buying 120s, risking low a day. If I don't get stopped out, my plan on a breakout is always to try and swing it into day 2. So in a vacuum, that's the plan typically on a breakout setup when I get involved. But with VOR itself, there's like 700 million warrants. And with the anti-dilution provision, I think their exercise price is like a penny. So it's super toxic. Which was the reason for my early sells. I just can't stay patient in something that I think they could turn on liquidity engines one day and just steady sell, steady sell. That's why I'm open to if this goes red tomorrow as a possible short trade, because if they turn on that liquidity and decide to start to sell some of those warrants, this could get sold into the ground. So I do think the magnet is $2. If this holds green, I will like to join that trend versus a 150 guide, just today's support, and look for that 2 blowout. Ideally, it just gaps and runs, and then I could get like a parabolic short either tomorrow or Wednesday. But yeah, I think just a break of 1, logical target is 150. A break over 150, logical target is 2. And over under 2 is like that 180 to 220 range to kind of that elastic move. It doesn't top out there exactly, but He caught that big move today. Got stopped out at 124 on my swing in pre-market. That's too bad. Float so high. Exactly, man. They're going to liquidate some soon. Yeah. Yeah. You betcha. You betcha. So, like I say, if you don't want to rewatch this video or want to check back, first link down in the description, I believe I put it in there, is the Google Doc where I wrote out all my plans. So you can check that out and read through it if you would like. It's got some charts and some visuals there. They kind of map out my ideas. So I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. I appreciate the chit chat in the chat room or in the live chat here. But I will wrap it up there. Those are my plans going into tomorrow and the week ahead. Happy Canada Day to any fellow Canadians going into tomorrow. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your evening, and I will see some of you in IU and the rest of you on the next watch list. Take it easy, guys. Peace.